Roll one, scene one, take one. Hey, Mark. Yes, I believe long-term discrimination can lead to something that's known as cultural normalization, which is why some cultures today still discriminates against women and girls, including things like restricting them from gaining equal rights, treatment, and opportunities. Today we live in a world that is highly technological, so a lot of people have access to the internet, they have access to a lot of information. So I believe that as technology becomes more accessible, information becomes readily available for people to consume. And therefore, the young people of today, they are more aware of gender-based violence, how they occur, and how they can affect someone's life. That being said, many young people also engage in activities with certain clubs or organizations which promote awareness and get people to know more about gender violence and how they can help do their part to prevent it. With that being said, though, Thailand does lack a formal organization which deals with gender injustice or support victims of gender-based violence. That is something that Thailand could certainly improve upon. The media used to be a very restricted thing. I've watched documentaries where in the past television was very restricted. There were only a few channels and they were almost always government owned. But nowadays, you can watch anything online. There's YouTube, there's Netflix, and even beyond that, there's a bunch of other free websites that you can watch media from. And that's only media that you can consume by watching motion picture. There's also other kinds of media like tabloids, newspapers, which are now published online, and a bunch of other blog article posts you can read from. Therefore, I believe that nowadays, media has a larger role than ever before in shaping the cultural and social expectations that people have. And these expectations can range from anything as basic as what you're supposed to eat to something that's more profound, such as governments and how they should be run, and families and how they should look like. And sometimes these expectations aren't exactly correct, they aren't exactly good, they're just portrayed that way and people take them as standard, which is why a lot of people have problems stemming from this media cultural effect, where they have unrealistic body standards or they partake in harmful behaviors, whether to themselves or to other people, because of these media. One of the most common examples is smoking or drug use. Sexism has been an issue in and around the world for centuries to come, for about as long as history has been recorded. And to get over this problem requires cooperation on many sides. Now, off the top of my head, some of the things that you can do to promote equality between genders at school or perhaps in your community would be very basic respect things that we learn in kindergarten. For example, children, and also us grown-up adults, should be taught to treat each other with respect. And very important is to provide everyone with equal opportunity, regardless of their gender and regardless of their other important backgrounds, such as wealth or family structure or race, for example. In addition to that, as people grow older, or they come to the age that we're at right now in adolescence, we can also promote a more equal environment in our school or in our community by keeping each other in check. Sometimes you can exhibit sexist behavior or unfair behavior without even knowing it, and therefore, being around other people, you should speak up when there is some injustice or unfairness involved. And by keeping each other in check, we can create a more equal and fairer environment for everyone. With regards to respect, we've been taught since a very young age to show respect to one another, and of course different people take it differently, but one of the most basic ways to show respect is to simply not be so mean. I'm not saying be fake, but a very easy way to exhibit respect, or at least a perception of respect, is to not denounce what other people say. You listen to them. A very respectful way to do things is to just keep quiet and listen. In addition to that, though, if you want to take it up a notch, you can treat each other fairly. You can support each other and avoid pressing each other down. Even if their ideas may seem counterintuitive to you, it is important that everyone has a voice. And avoid any kind of stereotypes that you may have about a person's race or gender or background, etc. If we are to tackle this problem from a very technical standpoint, then yes, the literal definition of gender would be the differences in the biology of members of the same species. However, that is not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about differences in consequences. Or, to put it in other words, how the world affects you differently based on your gender. And yes, I do believe that gender injustice issues stem mostly, if not all, from societal, community, tradition, and effects such as that. If we are to look at the biological point of view, sure, a lot of people use biology as the premise of their gender injustice argument, and many people would exhibit that this has to be this way because biologically speaking, da 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 da. Which, this argument has their merits, but I'm inclined to believe that the majority of injustice issues are more because of the patriarchal society that we all live in today. When it comes to this problem of bars and nightclubs offering free entry, the issue is tackled differently. Free entry, in this case, I perceive as a commercial move, as a business move, to incline more customers to come in. In which case, from a gender justice and injustice point of view, I do believe that it's slightly injustice to only allow free entry for people of only one gender. However, I do have an alternative, which is a genderless or gender non-specific happy hour type deal, where the promotion would still attract customers, however, the injusticeness of the situation is resolved. In fact, yes, Thailand does have one, and as of the time of making, only one female prime minister, which is Yingluck Shinawatra. Now, I did not follow politics very closely during her service in office. However, it was perceptible that when she came to power as prime minister, there were some differences that were made because she was the first female prime minister. So, yes, I would say that gender does make a difference, especially when it comes to leadership. But again, I can trace that back to the fact that humans have led a very patriarchal society in the past. and therefore that is the only reason where there's any kind of uniqueness to this, or else it would all be fair, which is ideal, but not the world we live in. There is a half Thai pilot who serves in the US Army, I believe, and she flies helicopters to transport troops, and she's been shot down by some insurgents or some terrorists in the Middle East, and she lost a leg and she got a medal for it, which is something I'm rather proud of because I've always liked helicopters and she flew one. However, when it comes to women on the front line, which I believe means that women on the ground, infantry fighting alongside other service members, I do believe that women can excel in that field as well. Just because of their gender does not mean that they can put up a good fight. I've seen plenty of women who are excellent shooters. They have excellent tactics, sometimes even better than their male counterparts. Recently, there are a lot more startups which are led by females. So, yes, it might be more difficult to succeed in this field compared to men just because of the disadvantages which come in a community where males are often regarded as more powerful and a bunch of other stereotypes. However, if this rate is kept up and the gender differences start to reach equilibrium, we can create an environment where each occupation is open to both genders, both not just legally open, because obviously it's legally open, but a lot of people opt not to go for it just because of the male domination in so and so fields. But as the gender differences equalizes, more people would be willing to try in something that they're truly passionate in and not be limited by their gender. And that would conclude our interview Q&A today.